The Memphis sun beat down on Graceland, baking the asphalt drive and making the leaves on the ancient oak trees shimmer. Inside, Elvis Presley felt a familiar stir of restlessness. It wasn't boredom. Not exactly. It was more like an excessive energy, a humming vibration beneath his skin that needed an outlet. He paced the opulent living room, past the velvet drapes and the grand piano, his mind racing. He'd recently acquired a new firearm, a sleek, powerful revolver that felt good in his hand. He'd admired its craftsmanship, its potential, but where was he supposed to shoot it? The backyard with its swimming pool and meticulously manicured lawn wasn't exactly ideal. He thought of the shooting ranges he'd visited on trips, the controlled environments, the satisfying thud of a bullet hitting its mark. "You look like a caged tiger, Ear," said Red West, lounging on a plush sofa, flipping through a magazine. Sonny Westred's cousin nodded from an armchair, a half-eaten peanut butter and banana sandwich in his hand. Larry Geller, Elvis's spiritual advisor and dowtilist, was adjusting a stray curl in the reflection of a polished table lamp, more interested in the state of Elvis's legendary pompadour than his restless pacing. "Caged tiger, huh? Maybe I am, but a tiger needs a place to pounce, Red, a place to aim." He twirled the revolver. "I need a shooting range." Red slowly lowered his magazine. Sonny nearly choked on his sandwich. Larry paused mid-curl, a judgment. "Silent, I may go over right here at Graceland. Think about it. A proper setup. Tights. Safety features, my own private range, whenever the spirit moves me." He walked over to a large window looking out at the sprawling grounds. Plenty of space out back near the stable maybe, or perhaps even further back by the tree line. Sonny swallowed his sandwich hard. With all due respect, a shooting range here at Graceland, the king's home. People come here from all over the world just to look at the gate. Elvis waved a dismissive hand. "Exactly, and they'll come to see the king who can shoot a bullseye from 50 yards. It'll be great. We can have competitions, practice our aim. It's not just about the shooting, fellas. It's about focus, discipline." He began pacing again, but now with a renewed vigor. A man possessed by a grand new vision. Larry Geller, ever the pragmatist, spoke softly. "Elvis, that's a massive undertaking. The noise, the permits, the safety considerations. It's not like setting up a dartboard in the den." Elvis stopped short, hands on his hips. "And when have I ever done anything small, Larry? When have I ever shied away from a challenge? This isn't just about shooting. It's about building something, creating something. It's a project, a major one, and I want it done right." He grinned, that famous mischievous grin that always meant trouble or brilliance or both. And who better to build it than the king himself, with the help of his trusty knights? Red and Sonny exchanged a look. They knew that look. When Elvis got an idea, especially a grand, slightly outrageous one, there was no stopping him. Arguing was like trying to stop a freight train with a feather. "All right, Red sighed, rubbing his temples. "So where do we start? Do we just dig a big hole and line it with old mattresses?" Elvis chuckled. "No. Red, we don't dig a big hole. We get blueprints. We talk to experts. We find the best materials. We build the finest, safest, most state-of-the-art shooting range Graceland has ever seen." He pointed out the window dramatically. "Imagine it. A monument to precision and personal mastery. Right here in my backyard." Sonny slowly picked up another sandwich. "Well, at least it's better than buying another dozen Cadillacs today." Elvis laughed, a deep, booming sound that filled the room. "Exactly. This is an investment, Sonny. An investment in my sanity, my skill, and a damn good time. Now, who's with me? Who's ready to turn Graceland into the ultimate shooting paradise?" Red and Sonny, despite their initial skepticism, felt the pull of his enthusiasm. It was infectious. They'd been through countless Elvis whims over the years: karate, does, elaborate parties, sudden trips to exotic locales. This was just the latest and perhaps one of the most uniquely Elvis projects yet. All right, Red conceded, pushing himself off the sofa. Let's see about making some calls. But if a neighbor complains about the noise, you're buying them a new set of earplugs and a Cadillac. Elvis clapped his hands together. Now, let's get a map of the property. I'm thinking a long, narrow stretch needs to be far enough from the main house, but close enough for convenience, and we'll need a proper backstop. Something serious. We're not talking about knocking over tin cans here, boys. We're talking about serious target practice. As Elvis, Red and Sonny huddled over a large estate map spread out on the coffee table, their voices low and buzzing with ideas, Larry Geller just shook his head, a small smile playing on his lips. Graceland always an adventure, and now it was about to get a whole lot louder. The king had a new obsession. And like all his obsessions, it was going to be epic. The thought of the first surprise target, however, had yet to even cross any of their minds. The days that followed Elvis's grand announcement were a blur of activity at Graceland. Gone was the leisurely pace that often settled over the estate. Now there was a palpable buzz, a sense of purpose. Elvis, true to form, immersed himself completely in the project. He spent hours poring over architectural plans, safety manuals, and catalogs filled with specialized shooting range equipment. His office, usually reserved for music and movie scripts, became a makeshift command center for the Graceland Shooting Academy. See here, Red? Elvis pointed excitedly at a diagram, his finger tracing a line on the blueprint. This is a baffled ceiling. It prevents ricochets. And this, he moved his finger, this is a granulated rubber trap. It absorbs the bullets. No bounce-back, state-of-the-art baby. Red, always the practical one, squinted at the complex drawings. Looks like something out of a science fiction movie. Are you sure we need all this for just us? Red, it's not just Elvis retorted, his eyes sparkling. It's about doing things right, about building the best. And besides, imagine the possibilities. We could invite other enthusiasts. Law enforcement. This isn't just a place to shoot. It's a testament to the safest, most precise range anywhere. Priscilla, ever watchful and a little concerned by the new venture, approached Elvis cautiously one afternoon. Elvis, are you sure about all this? It seems a bit much. And the noise, won't it disturb Lisa Marie? Elvis put an arm around her, a reassuring smile on his face. Honey, the range will be down near the far end of the property, well away from the house. And we'll use soundproofing. The best money can buy. It'll be safer than crossing the street. I promise. Control. These are good things. He kissed her forehead. Don't you worry your pretty head. The king knows what he's doing. Despite his reassurances, Priscilla still looked a little skeptical. But she knew better than to argue with Elvis when he was in full creative swing. The following week, the sounds of construction began. Heavy machinery rolled onto the grounds, digging trenches for foundations. Carpenters arrived, followed by electricians, specialized ballistic engineers, and a team of landscapers who looked bewildered by the sheer scale of the project. The peaceful hum of Graceland was replaced by the clang of hammers, the whine of saws, and the occasional roar of a bulldozer. Elvis was often right in the thick of it. Not just observing, but actively participating. He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. One afternoon, Red found him helping a worker hoist a heavy steel beam into place, sweat beading on his brow, his usual immaculate clothes smudged with dirt. What are you doing? Let the pros handle that. Red exclaimed. Just helping out, Red. Gotta make sure it's done right. Besides, it's good exercise. Feels good to build something with your own hands, you know. Not just sing about it. He truly seemed invigorated by the physical labor and the planning involved. Discussed ventilation systems with engineers, debated the merits of various target retrieval systems, and even designed a custom-made shooting bench that would perfectly fit his imposing frame. Every detail was meticulously considered. One day, while overseeing the pouring of concrete for the firing line, Elvis called Sonny over. Sonny? Remember that old barn we talked about tearing down, the one near the back fence line? Sonny nodded. Yeah, he's still standing, barely. Perfect, Elvis declared. An armory, You're really going all out, aren't you? When has the king ever done anything halfway? Elvis chuckled, wiping concrete dust from his hands. This isn't just a shooting range, Sonny. It's a sanctuary, a place of focus, a place where I can clear my head, and it needs to be perfect. The construction continued for weeks, then months. The initial skepticism of the Memphis Mafia slowly transformed into a shared sense of pride. They saw the vision taking shape, not just as a place to fire guns, but as a meticulously crafted space that reflected Elvis's dedication to his interests and his relentless pursuit of perfection. The range began to resemble something truly impressive, a long, covered structure with multiple shooting lanes, an automated target system, and robust safety features. The air was filled with the smell of sawdust, fresh paint, and the faint, exciting tang of possibility. As the final touches were being applied, the installation of the last acoustic panels, the testing of the ventilation system, Elvis stood back, surveying his creation. He ran a hand over a smooth, freshly painted wall. It was nearly complete. His new obsession, born of restlessness, was about to become a reality. He felt a deep sense of accomplishment. But as he looked at the pristine firing line, a new thought began to form in his mind. The very first target. It couldn't be just any target. It had to be special. It had to be memorable. A surprise. And the more he thought about it, the more he realized this surprise needed to be truly unexpected. Something that would resonate not just with him, but with everyone who saw it. The gears in his mind began to turn, planning something truly unique for the grand private unveiling of his magnificent new range. Word about Elvis's latest project spread through Memphis like wildfire. It wasn't long before the local newspapers picked up on the story. Elvis builds private armory at Graceland, one headline blared. Another read, King of Rock and Roll trades guitar for gun. New shooting range under construction. The phone at Graceland began to ring off the hook. Concerned fans called, asking if Elvis was all right, if he was turning into some kind of recluse. Local officials made discreet inquiries about permits and safety regulations. Even some of Elvis's more conservative family members expressed their disapproval. A shooting range, Elvis? His Aunt Delta May asked one afternoon, her voice laced with concern as she helped prepare dinner in the Graceland kitchen. What on earth do you need such a thing for? Aren't you worried it sends the wrong message? Elvis, lounging at the kitchen island, munching on a fried peanut butter and banana sandwich, sighed, Aunt Delta. It's about focus. It's a sport. It's about self-discipline. It's no different than any other hobby. He knew it was futile to try to fully explain his impulses to everyone. And besides, he added, a twinkle in his eye, it's a lot safer than driving Cadillacs into swimming pools. Aunt Delta just shook her head, but a faint smile tugged at the corner of her lips. She knew his ways. Priscilla, however, was genuinely worried. She knew Elvis's fascination with firearms, but this felt different. It was a permanent, very public fixture. She found him one evening in his study, reviewing schematics for the range's ventilation system. Elvis, can we talk about this? She asked gently, sitting across from him. Calls are constant. The papers are speculating. People are saying you're becoming isolated, obsessed. He put down his pen, his expression serious. This range, it's going to be that place. But why shooting? She pressed. Why not a new recording studio or a larger dojo for your karate? Those are different, Elvis explained patiently. Music is creation. Karate is physical discipline. Shooting for me is about mental discipline. It's about absolute concentration. When I'm on the firing line, everything else fades away. All the noise, all the pressure, all the expectation. It's just me and the target. It's peaceful in a way. Look, I know it seems strange, but trust me, this isn't some dark obsession. It's about finding balance. And besides, he winked, it's a lot of fun. You should try it when it's done. Priscilla managed a weak smile, Still not entirely convinced, she admired his passion. But sometimes his passions were so grand, so all-consuming, they left a trail of concern in their wake. Outside Graceland's famous gates, the speculation continued. Fans gathered, staring intently at the distant construction, trying to catch a glimpse of the new fortress. Rumors flew. Elvis was training for a movie role. He was preparing for some kind of personal war. He was building it for the FBI. The mystery only deepened as construction progressed, hidden behind the high walls and dense foliage of the estate. Even among the Memphis Mafia, there was a quiet buzz of anticipation mixed with a little good-natured ribbing. "So he heard you're going to turn into Annie Oakley," Marty Lacker joked one morning over breakfast. Elvis just chuckled. "Better than that, Marty. I'm going to be the king of the bullseye. And wait till you see the first target. It's going to be a surprise, something special, something unexpected." He gave them a knowing look, but offered no further hints. This casual mention of a surprise target instantly piqued the curiosity of his inner circle. They'd seen Elvis do a lot of things, but what kind of target would he choose for the grand unveiling of his personal shooting range? Would it be something humorous, a caricature of one of his managers, or something symbolic? The speculation ran wild amongst the group, adding another layer of intrigue to the already unique project. Red and Sonny tried to pry details from him, but Elvis remained tight-lipped, relishing the mystery. "You'll just have to wait and see, boys. It'll be worth it, I promise you that." His eyes, usually so expressive, held a hint of something deeper, something almost wistful when he spoke of the first target. It wasn't just about fun. It felt like it held a personal significance. Only he understood. As the final stages of construction approached, the sounds of machinery gradually subsided, replaced by the hushed movements of interior decorators and special eds technicians. The air of mystery thickened around the new range. Graceland was buzzing with speculation, and at the heart of it all was Elvis humming a new tune, a song of anticipation for the grand reveal of his latest, most personal creation. And its very first, very secret target. Building a state-of-the-art shooting range, even for Elvis Presley, was not without its challenges. The initial enthusiasm was occasionally dampened by unforeseen problems, technical glitches, and the inevitable delays that come with any major construction project. One particularly sweltering Memphis afternoon, Elvis stood fuming at the edge of the partially completed range. A crew of electricians had discovered a major fault in the wiring system for the automated target retrieval. Instead of smoothly gliding down the range, the target carrier would jerk violently, then seize up completely. "What do you mean? It's faulty," Elvis demanded, his voice dangerously low. "This is supposed to be the best system money can buy. I paid top dollar for state-of-the-art." The lead electrician, a nervous man named Frank, wrung his hands. "Mr. Presley, we believe there's a compatibility issue with the power supply. It's a complex system and the voltage fluctuations are, well, they're causing it to short out. We need to rewire a significant portion." Elvis ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched on his face. He'd envisioned smooth operations, precise movements. Not this kind of headache. He paced back and forth, a coiled spring of energy, while the Memphis Mafia watched from a safe distance. They knew this mood. It was the king is annoyed mood, and it usually meant either a sudden, lavish gift or a stern dressing down. "A larger transformer," Elvis repeated, his voice rising. "You mean more expense? More time? We've already spent months on this. I want to shoot, not wait for transformers." Red West stepped forward cautiously. "Easy, eh? These things happen. Better to find it now than when you're on the firing line, right?" Elvis turned, his eyes blazing. "Easy, Red. I've sunk a fortune into this. I've been dreaming of this place, building it piece by piece, and now we hit a snag like this. It's unacceptable." He stormed off toward the main house, leaving a trail of tense silence behind him. The electricians resumed their work, quietly muttering about demanding clients and rock stars. For a few days, Elvis was unusually quiet. He stayed mostly in his room or holed up in his office, emerging only for meals. The usual boisterous energy that filled Graceland was subdued. The construction noise had lessened, replaced by the quieter, more precise work of the electricians and Elvis's own palpable frustration. Priscilla tried to cheer him up, suggesting a movie night or a trip to town, but he just shook his head. "It's all right, honey. Just got to figure this out. It's the principle of the thing. I want it perfect." Then one morning Elvis emerged with a different look in his eye. The frustration had been replaced by a familiar glint of determination. He'd clearly been thinking, strategizing. He called for Red, Sonny, and Larry. "All right. Listen up," he announced, striding into the living room, a stack of technical manuals under his arm. "I've been reading and I've been talking to a few more people. This transformer issue. It's an opportunity." Red looked skeptical. "An opportunity for what?" More delays." "No, an opportunity to make it even better," Elvis declared. "We're not just going to upgrade the transformer, we're going to completely overhaul the power system for the entire range. We'll install a dedicated power line, independent of the main house. We'll add a backup generator. This way, we're not only solving the current problem, but we're future-proofing it. No more fluctuations, no more short-outs. It'll be rock solid." His enthusiasm was infectious, and even though it meant more money and more time, the logic was sound. Pointed to new diagrams he'd sketched out himself, showing his preferred placement for the new power units. He even took a personal interest in the rewiring, spending hours with Frank the electrician, asking questions, offering suggestions, learning about voltage and current flow. Frank, initially intimidated, found himself surprisingly enjoying Elvis's genuine curiosity and willingness to learn. Turned out Elvis wasn't just a demanding client. He was a brilliant, engaged student. "See," Frank Elvis said one afternoon, holding a thick electrical cable, "it's like a song, right? Every wire has its place. Every connection has to be just white." Frank actually chuckled. "Never thought of electricity like music, Mr. Presley, but you've got a point." The setback, instead of derailing the project, had pushed Elvis to make it even more robust, more resilient. He channeled his frustration into deeper understanding and a renewed commitment to excellence. The work resumed with a fresh vigor spurred by Elvis's relentless drive. The air, once thick with tension, was now charged with a sense of collective purpose. As the last of the new components were installed and tested, the target retrieval system finally glided smoothly down the range without a single hitch. Elvis watched it, a triumphant smile on his face. He knew that the effort, the frustration, the unexpected detours, they all contributed to something truly magnificent. The range was nearing completion, stronger and more reliable than ever. And with it, his resolve about the surprise first target solidified even further. It had to be something truly special, a symbol of overcoming challenges and aiming for what truly mattered. The grand vision Elvis had for his Graceland shooting range was finally becoming a tangible reality. The delays, the setbacks, the frustrating technical issues all faded into the background as the finishing touches were applied. What emerged from the dust and clang of construction was nothing short of impressive. The range stretched out a long, covered structure built with sturdy, dark-stained timber and reinforced steel. Its design was both functional and aesthetically pleasing, blending surprisingly well with the natural landscape of Graceland's sprawling grounds. The outside was understated, but inside, it was a marvel. Stepping through the heavy soundproof doors, one immediately noticed the difference in the air. Powerful yet quiet ventilation system kept the atmosphere clear, whisking away any dust or gunpowder residue. The floor was covered in a specialized non-slip rubber matting, providing firm footing and absorbing impact. There were 5 distinct shooting lanes, each equipped with its own heavy-duty shooting bench made of dark polished wood, custom designed to Elvis's specifications for comfort and stability. Above each bench, a soft, diffused lighting system illuminated the firing line, ensuring optimal visibility, without glare. But the real marvel was the target system. Gone were the days of manually stapling paper targets to wooden frames. Here, a state-of-the-art automated system allowed targets to be sent downrange at varying distances from a close 7 yards for pistol practice to a distant 50 yards for rifle precision. They could be set to rotate, appear and disappear, or even move, challenging even the most experienced shooter. The backstop was a thick wall of granulated rubber and steel plates designed to safely catch and contain every single round. Fired. "Look at this, fellas," Elvis exclaimed one afternoon, practically bouncing with excitement as he gave the Memphis Mafia a tour. He ran a hand over the smooth, cool steel of a target frame. Solid, indestructible. "This is the real deal." He led them to a small enclosed room, off to the side of the main firing line. "And this, boys, is the control booth. From here we can manage every aspect of the range. Lighting, target speeds, even a sound system for background music." He grinned. "Imagine shooting to the tune of blue suede shoes." Sonny West whistled. This is incredible. You really spared no expense." "Only the best for the king, Sonny," Elvis replied, beaming. "And for my friends, this isn't just for me, it's for us, a place where we can truly hone our skills." Beyond the firing line, Elvis had also overseen the creation of a comfortable lounge area, complete with leather sofas, a large television, and a small kitchenette. "For debriefing," he explained, with a serious nod, though everyone knew it was mostly for snacking and socializing between shooting sessions. And then there was the King's Armory. The old barn, once dilapidated, had been transformed into a secure, climate-controlled vault. Inside, custom-built display cases held Elvis's impressive collection of firearms, each one gleaming. There were workbenches for cleaning and maintenance, and even a small specialized room for reloading ammunition filled with gleaming brass casings and precise measuring tools. "This is where we become true craftsmen," Elvis declared, gesturing around the armory. "Understanding the tools, maintaining them, even creating the ammunition ourselves. It's all part of the discipline, the mastery." The Memphis Mafia, who had initially been skeptical, were now genuinely impressed. Red West ran a hand over a newly polished rifle. I actually get it now. This isn't just about shooting, it's like your own private sanctuary." Elvis nodded slowly, his expression softening. "Exactly, Red. A sanctuary, a place where I can focus, where the outside world just disappears. When I'm here, it's just about the target, about precision, about self-control." He picked up a new, heavy pistol from a padded case, the weight familiar and comforting in his hand. He looked down the empty range, the lane stretching out into the distance, awaiting their first true test. The air was still quiet, filled with the promise of future shots. "All right," Elvis announced, his voice echoing slightly in the vast space. "Everything's ready? Inspections passed, safety checks complete. All that's left is the inaugural shot." He paused, a mischievous glint returning to his eyes. "And for that, we need the first target, the surprise target." The memory of his earlier casual mention of the surprise resurfaced, and a ripple of excitement went through the group. They had speculated endlessly during the construction, trying to guess what Elvis would choose: a picture of Colonel Parker, a framed copy of a bad review, a target shaped like a giant peanut butter and banana sandwich. Elvis just smiled, enjoying their eager anticipation. "I've got something very special in mind," he said, tapping the side of his nose. "Something truly unique. Something that will tell a story. You'll just have to wait for the grand unveiling." The stage was set. The King's magnificent new shooting range was complete, and the mystery of the first target was about to reach its thrilling, heartwarming climax. The completion of the Graceland Shooting Range created a buzz that vibrated not just through the estate, but through the entire circle of Elvis's life. Everyone was talking about it, but the most intriguing topic was the mystery of the first target. Elvis had dropped enough hints to ignite a wildfire of speculation among his friends, family, and even some of the household staff. At dinner one evening, the conversation inevitably drifted to it. Priscilla, ever curious, looked at Elvis across the table. "So, Elvis, are you going to give us any clues about this surprise target? The suspense is killing everyone." Elvis just chuckled, enjoying the attention. "Where's the fun in that, honey? A surprise is no longer a surprise if you know what it is." Larry Geller, ever the deep thinker, pondered aloud. "Perhaps it's a symbolic target, Elvis, something that represents a challenge you wish to overcome." Elvis took a bite of his steak. "Could be, Larry. Could be," he offered nothing more, his eyes twinkling. "I bet it's a picture of Colonel Parker. You've been wanting to shoot at him for years, Eam." The room erupted in laughter, and even Elvis gave a hearty guffaw. "Now, Red, you know I respect the Colonel," Elvis said, though his smile suggested otherwise. "Besides, that would be too obvious, wouldn't it?" Sonny West, always practical, suggested, "Maybe it's just a really intricate bullseye, something with tiny rings that only you could hit." Elvis shook his head. "Too simple, Sonny. Too simple, this target. It tells a story. It has meaning." The next day, the speculation continued. The Memphis Mafia gathered in the lounge, tossing around ideas like a football. "What if it's one of those trick targets?" Marty Lacker mused. "Like you hit it and confetti explodes, or a bell rings." Joe Esposito, Elvis's longtime road manager, who was meticulous about planning, considered it. "Elvis likes showmanship, but he also likes things to be meaningful. It has to be something that combines both." The household staff, usually discreet, found themselves caught up in the gossip. Mary Jenkins, the cook, wondered if it was a target shaped like a giant banana given Elvis's love for the fruit. Nancy Rooks, another staff member, thought it might be a special painting. Elvis, meanwhile, was secretly working on the target in a secluded workshop near the stable. Far from prying eyes, he had enlisted the help of a trusted artist and a skilled craftsman, making them both swear to secrecy. The materials he requested were unusual: a large, sturdy wooden frame, special impact-resistant panels, and a variety of paints and pigments. He also asked for some custom metalwork and a small, delicate electronic mechanism. He spent hours in the workshop, not just directing but actively participating in the creation. He carefully explained his vision to the artist, describing not just the image he wanted, but the feeling it should evoke. He worked with the craftsman on the mechanics, ensuring that every piece fit perfectly, every joint was strong, and the hidden elements would function flawlessly. One afternoon, Red, curious as ever, tried to sneak a peek. He saw Elvis through a crack in the workshop door, meticulously painting a section of the target. Red couldn't quite make out the image, but he saw flashes of vibrant color and intricate detail. He heard Elvis humming softly to himself, a focused, almost meditative sound. Whatever it was clearly a work of art, not just a standard paper target. When Elvis emerged from the workshop, later that day, he looked tired but immensely satisfied. He had a triumphant gleam in his eye and an air of quiet anticipation about him. He gathered the Memphis Mafia. "All right, boys," he announced, his voice brimming with excitement. "The range is complete. The target is ready. The inaugural shot will take place tomorrow afternoon. Private, just us and Priscilla and Lisa Marie, of course." A palpable wave of excitement swept through the group. The moment they had all been waiting for was finally at hand. "But Sonny asked, unable to resist, "you gotta give us just one tiny hint. What kind of target is it?" Elvis paused, a slow smile spreading across his face. He leaned in conspiratorially, as if sharing the greatest secret in the world. "It's a target," he whispered, "that once hit will reveal something truly beautiful." And with that he walked away, leaving them utterly baffled and more intrigued than ever. A target that revealed something, not just something you shot at, but something that changed or opened upon impact. The possibilities were endless, and the anticipation for the next day's grand reveal reached an all-time high. Everyone went to bed that night dreaming of what beautiful surprise Elvis had in store for his magnificent new range. The day of the grand opening arrived heralded by a brilliant Memphis sky and a palpable sense of anticipation. Graceland was abuzz, not with the usual hum of daily life, but with a quiet, focused excitement. Elvis had declared the event private, limited only to his closest circle. Priscilla, a curious Lisa Marie, who at the time was still quite young but very aware of the special energy around her father, and the core members of the Memphis Mafia. In the late afternoon, a small group gathered at the entrance to the new shooting range. The air was thick with unspoken questions. What would the range actually feel like? How would it sound? And most importantly, what was the mysterious first target? Elvis stood at the front, impeccably dressed as always, but with a hint of nervous energy about him. He had that familiar showman's glint in his eye, ready to unveil his latest creation. He looked around at the faces of his friends and family, his personal audience. "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen," Elvis began, his voice taking on a slightly formal theatrical tone. "Welcome to the Graceland Precision Range. Many of you have seen this place take shape from a wild idea to a concrete steel and rubber reality. It's been a journey, a challenge, and a labor of love. Beyond these doors lies a sanctuary, a place of focused discipline, and yes, a little bit of fun. We've built it to the highest standards of safety and excellence. Every detail is designed and executed." He paused, letting his words hang in the air, building the suspense. But today isn't just about the range itself, it's about the inaugural shot, the very first target to be graced by a bullet from the king. He grinned. "And as you know, I promised a surprise." Priscilla squeezed his arm, a mix of apprehension and excitement on her face. Lisa Marie, clutching her mother's hand, looked up at her dad, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Now, the target itself," Elvis continued, his voice dropping slightly, "is unique. It's not just a piece of paper, it's a statement, a story. It's something that upon being precisely hit will reveal its true meaning." He paused again for dramatic effect. "What you see initially will not be the whole picture. You have to hit the mark to unlock the surprise." A ripple of murmuring went through the group. This was even more intriguing than they had imagined. A target with a secret. "I won't tell you what it is," Elvis declared, holding up his hands. "That would ruin the magic. But I will tell you this. It took a lot of thought, a lot of heart, and a lot of precision to create." He led them inside. The difference in sound was immediate. The faint sounds of birdsong from outside vanished, replaced by a quiet hum of the ventilation system. The range stretched before them, gleaming under the carefully designed lights. "All right, everyone," Elvis announced, guiding them to the viewing area, a comfortable glass-enclosed space off to the side, allowing for safe observation. "Take your seats. The show is about to begin." He walked toward the firing line, picking up a sleek, familiar .38 revolver. He checked the chamber, the weight comforting in his hand. He looked down the empty lane, taking a deep breath. "The target," he said, turning back to his audience, "will appear at the 25-yard mark. I'll take a moment to aim, and then we'll see what happens." A hush fell over the room. The only sound was the low, steady hum of the ventilation. Red, Sonny, and Joe exchanged glances, their faces a mixture of suspense and quiet anticipation. Priscilla wrapped an arm around Lisa Marie, who instinctively leaned closer, sensing the importance of the moment. Elvis walked to the far left lane, positioning himself behind a custom-built shooting bench, placed the revolver down carefully, then looked up at a large flat panel at the end of the range. This was where the targets would appear. Took another deep breath, his famous profile etched against the muted lights of the range. The stage was set, the king was ready, and the secret of the surprise target, that something truly beautiful he had promised, was just moments away from being revealed. A silence descended upon the Graceland Precision Range, heavier than any before. Elvis stood at the firing line, his back to the small, expectant audience in the viewing booth. He wore a focused expression, his brow slightly furrowed in concentration. The .38 revolver rested on the shooting bench, its metal glinting under the soft, diffused lights. He took a few deep, slow breaths, settling his stance. His years of karate training had instilled in him a remarkable ability to center himself, to find inner stillness amidst the storm. Closed his eyes for a moment, then opened them, his gaze fixed on the blank target panel. "Downrange." "Ready, fellas?" he called out, his voice calm and steady. belying the tension in the room. "Ready," Red called back, his voice a little strained with anticipation. Elvis reached out and pressed a button on a small control panel beside his bench. With a soft, whirring sound, the automated target carrier began to move. Slowly, deliberately, a dark, rectangular shape emerged from behind the protective wall. At the 25-yard mark, the audience leaned forward, straining to see. As the target came into full view, a collective murmur went through the room. It was a large, sturdy, circular target made of a dark, impact-resistant material. In its center was a stark white bullseye ringed by several concentric circles. It looked at first glance like a perfectly normal, albeit very high-quality, target. There were no caricatures, no funny shapes, no obvious hidden images. Disappointment flickered briefly across some faces. "Just a bullseye," Sonny whispered, sounding a bit let down. But Elvis had promised a surprise, something that would be revealed when hit. This was clearly not the whole story. The intrigue deepened. Elvis picked up the revolver. He took his time, holding it steady. His arm extended, his eyes narrowing. As he sighted down the barrel, he adjusted his grip, his breathing shallow and controlled. He was no longer Elvis Presley, the rock star. The air in the range was absolutely still, broken only by the faint hum of the ventilation system and the almost imperceptible click as Elvis cocked the hammer. Priscilla held her breath, her hand tightly clasped around Lisa Marie's small one. Even Lisa Marie seemed to sense the gravity of the moment, her usually fidgety self completely still, her gaze fixed on her father. He held the aim perfectly steady. Time seemed to stretch and slow. Every eye was on him, on the gun, on the bullseye. He didn't rush. He became one with the target, the weapon, the moment. Then with a sudden sharp crack that echoed surprisingly loudly, despite the soundproofing, the shot rang out. Crack! The bullseye, dead center, instantly blossomed with a clean, precise hole. There was no doubt it was a perfect shot, but that wasn't the surprise. The moment the bullet struck, a soft click was heard. Then a faint, mechanical whirring sound emanated from behind the target panel. The circular target, which had seemed so solid, began to slowly pivot. It was mounted on a hidden mechanism. As it turned, revealing its reverse side, another image slowly came into view. The audience gasped. It wasn't a bullseye anymore. Behind the hit target, slowly rotating into position, was a large, beautifully rendered painting. It was portrait. Vibrant and incredibly lifelike. Depicted a young woman, perhaps, in her late teens or early 20s, with kind, soulful eyes and a gentle smile. She wore a simple dress, her hair softly styled. In her arms, she held a tiny, bundled infant, looking down at the baby with an expression of profound love and tenderness. The silence that followed the reveal was even more profound than before. It was a silence filled with awe, recognition, and a growing sense of emotion. The young woman in the painting was unmistakably Gladys Presley, Elvis's beloved mother, and the infant in her arms was without a doubt a baby. Elvis lowered his gun, his arm dropping slowly to his side. He didn't turn to face his audience. He just stood there looking at the portrait of his mother, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. The surprise was not just visually stunning, it was deeply, profoundly heartwarming, hitting a bullseye not on the target, but straight in the hearts of everyone present. The beautiful portrait of Gladys and baby Elvis rotated fully into view, bathed in the soft, deliberate light of the shooting range. The sight struck everyone in the viewing booth with immediate, overwhelming emotion. Gasps turned into sniffles, and several members of the Memphis Mafia, rugged men though they were, openly wiped tears from their eyes. Priscilla, her own eyes glistening, let out a soft cry and pulled Lisa Marie closer. Even little Lisa Marie, too young to fully understand the depth of the emotion, instinctively felt the power of the moment. Looking from the painting to her father's unmoving back, Elvis remained at the firing line, his shoulders lightly slumped, his gaze locked on the image of his mother. The silence was broken only by the gentle hum of the ventilation system and the soft sounds of his friend's emotional reactions. For a long minute, he just stood there, lost in the painting, lost in memory. Then, slowly, he turned. His face was streaked with tears, but his eyes held a profound peace, a raw vulnerability that few ever saw. He didn't speak immediately. He just looked at them, letting the emotion of the moment settle. Finally, his voice came soft and a little hoarse, but clear. "My mama," he said, gesturing vaguely toward the portrait. "Gladys, love Presley," took a few steps closer to the viewing booth, leaning against the glass barrier. "You all wondered what the first target would be. You speculated, you joked." He managed a small, watery smile. "I wanted it to be something that truly mattered. Something that represented the heart of who I am and where I came from." He gestured back to the portrait. "That's her, my first love, my biggest supporter. The one who believed in me before anyone else did. She always told me I was special, that I had a gift. She gave me everything. And the bullseye, it wasn't just about hitting a mark. It was about hitting the heart of that aiming true. Not just with a gun, but with my life aiming for love, for authenticity. For what truly matters." He paused, collecting himself. "This range. Yeah, it's about focus, it's about discipline, but it's also about finding my center, and my center has always been her, my family, my roots. It's about remembering where I started and who helped me get here." Red West, wiping his eyes, managed a gruff, "That's beautiful." Sonny nodded, his throat tight. "We never would have guessed. Never." "That's the point," Elvis said, a knowing look in his eyes. "Sometimes the most powerful things are hidden. You have to aim for them. You have to have the precision, the dedication to uncover them." He walked back to the firing line, picking up the empty shell casing from his shot. He held it in his palm, examining it. "This isn't just about shooting paper targets, fellas. This is about remembering what you're aiming for in life, what's truly worth protecting, cherishing, and honoring." He looked at Priscilla, then at Lisa. "Marie, it's about love. It's always about love." Priscilla stepped out of the viewing booth and walked over to him, wrapping her arms around him in a tight hug. He held her close, burying his face in her hair. This was the Elvis. She loved the vulnerable, heartfelt man beneath the superstar persona. "Oh, Elvis," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "It's perfect." Little Lisa Marie toddled out and hugged his legs, looking up at the painting of her grandmother with newfound understanding. The reveal of the target wasn't just a surprise. It was a deeply personal, incredibly heartwarming confession from the king himself. It showed a side of Elvis that was often overshadowed by his fame, his flash, and his larger-than-life persona. It showed a son's unending love for his mother, a man's desire to connect with his roots, and a profound sense of purpose behind his actions. The shooting range, once seen as just another eccentric Elvis project, had been transformed. It wasn't just a place to fire guns. It was a testament to love, memory, and the enduring power of family. And everyone there knew without a doubt that this range, built with such care and revealed with such tenderness, would forever hold a special, sacred place within the walls of Graceland. The emotional impact of Elvis's surprise target lingered in the Graceland precision range long after the initial tears had dried. The portrait of Gladys and baby Elvis remained prominently displayed behind the firing line. A constant, loving presence transformed the space from a mere shooting range into a place of reflection, remembrance. In the days and weeks that followed, the range became a true sanctuary for Elvis. He spent hours there, not just practicing his marksmanship, but also finding a quiet peace. He would often just sit on one of the custom benches, looking at his mother's portrait, sometimes humming old gospel tunes, sometimes just letting the silence wash over him. His friends and family understood now the range wasn't about aggression or display of power. It was about focus, yes, but also about centering himself, connecting with his past, and finding a quiet strength. The Memphis Mafia, initially eager for boisterous shooting competitions, found themselves approaching the range with a new respect. They still had their fun, of course, practicing their aim, challenging each other to friendly contests. Presence of Gladys's portrait added a layer of reverence. They often saw Elvis step up to the line, take a few practice shots, then just lower his gun and gaze at the painting, a soft smile on his lips. One afternoon, Red West found Elvis polishing one of his revolvers in the King's armory. "Still thinking about that first shot, E?" Red asked softly. Elvis nodded, not looking up. "Every time I come in here, Red, it reminds me why I do it for. It's easy to get lost in the noise, you know. The crowd's the demands, the expectation, but then I come in here and I see Mama, and it all clears up. This range isn't just about hitting a target, Red. It's about remembering to hit the right target in life, to always aim for the good, to never forget where you came from and the love that built you." News of the heartwarming reveal of Gladys's portrait eventually filtered out, albeit unofficially. It wasn't a newspaper headline, but a quiet, respectful rumor that spread through the fan community. It painted a different picture of Elvis, one that resonated deeply with those who knew his profound love for his mother. It added another layer to the legend of Graceland, a place not just of fame and fortune, but of deep personal connection and family love. Priscilla often brought Lisa Marie down to the range. Elvis would let Lisa Marie press the button to send the target downrange, laughing as she giggled. He'd teach her about safety, about concentration, making it a game. He would tell her stories about Grandma Gladys, pointing to the portrait, ensuring his daughter knew the woman who had meant so much to him. The range, once a source of concern for Priscilla, became a quiet testament to their family bond. Sometimes Elvis would invite close friends or trusted colleagues to the range. He'd let them shoot, share tips, and explain the intricacies of the firearms, but he always made sure they understood the deeper meaning of the space. He'd tell them the story of the first target of Gladys and the importance of aiming, true in all aspects of life. The Graceland Precision Range was more than just a place to shoot. It became a symbol of Elvis's inner journey. It represented his quest for focus, his need for a personal sanctuary, and his enduring, unconditional love for the woman who had shaped him. It was a place where he could be just Vernon Elvis Presley, the boy from Tupelo connected to his roots, even as he was the king of rock and roll. As the years went on, the range continued to be an integral part of Graceland. It was a testament to the fact that even a king, surrounded by fame and adoration, needed a place to find peace, to reconnect with himself, and to honor the love that had guided him all along. The surprise target, a loving tribute to his mother, remained as a beautiful, heartwarming reminder of the true heart of the king. And every time a shot rang out from the range, it echoed not just with precision, but with love, memory, and purpose, truly making Graceland a home where the king's heart was always on target.